All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're going to get into talking about the Jets and the Patriots. Jets losing yet again, losing 5 in a row. They are now 2-6 on the season. Now losing to the Patriots, 25-22. They end up losing, and I watched the highlights of this game. Obviously, I was at the Browns game, so I really, wasn't locked into this game at all. So I can't really give you like an in-depth analysis of this game. But, from what I was hearing and, again, watching the highlights, again, it was kind of just like the same thing that's been going on with the Jets for quite some time now. Just talking specifically about this season. This was another game that they could have won, probably should have won, but they did not win. They didn't. And what's interesting is that Drake May did not finish this game. He left this game with a concussion, I believe, and Jacoby Brissett finished out the game. Now, Drake May, he actually started off the game with a touchdown. He had a 17-yard touchdown run. And then you thought, like, once he left the game, you thought the Jets actually had a better chance to win. Because Drake May has not played bad so far. But yeah, he ended up leaving, and it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. And it's more of the same. Penalties, delay of game penalties were really bad. The Jets had to waste timeouts early on in this game. And that's one of the things when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. Like, Aaron Rodgers is an all-time great. Like, we know this. But even in his prime years, for whatever reason, clock management has been an issue with him. And I don't know what the reasoning is behind it. It's just he has not been good when it comes to clock management. It happened on the Packers, too. And if you're a Packers fan, I would hope you would agree with that statement because if for some reason that was an issue, and it continues to happen now. But yeah, the Jets had to waste timeouts. Penalties continue to be an issue. This defense continues to be an issue. And my friend sent this tweet, and I really got to go back and find it. Because the Jets, they didn't have a turnover in this game. They didn't turn the ball over. The offense, like, again, it wasn't like spectacular, but, it put the Jets in a position to win. And they still just found a way to lose this game. I'm hoping I can find this. I'm going to find it, but it's just, it's just another loss for the Jets. It's just not looking good. And then you got the Texans on Thursday, and that's probably going to put you at 2-7. And then, it's just you're slowly but surely sinking. Well, kind of already sank at this point. And I don't see it turning around. And this was one of those things that I was completely wrong about. I really was. I kept saying I'm going to go towards that storm, and I'm going to say the Jets are going to go out and have a good year with the talent that they have. But ultimately, that storm engulfed me and spit me out because it has been rough. And it's not just one thing with this team. It is multiple things. It's multiple. The defense, the special teams, the inconsistencies with the offense. Biggest thing, the coaching, I think. It's the coaching. And to be honest, look, I mean, Robert Saleh was not a great head coach, but the Jets either should have let him go before the season started or waited till after this year. Let this season play out and then let him go. And they didn't do that. They just thought, okay, let's let him go. Let's demote Hackett, and let's promote Ulbrich to being the head coach. And that just has made things worse. Because now you kind of weaken the defense because at least you keep Saleh. I know the defense hasn't been great, but you made it worse by letting Salah go right now. But yeah, I mean, the Jets, they put together a touchdown drive at the end of the game. They go up by 5. All the defense has to do is get a stop. That's all they have to do. And they didn't do it. The Patriots go down the field. On 4th and goal from the 1, Ramondre Stevenson scores. And the Jets don't have really any time to go down the field and try to kick a potential game-tying field goal, which they probably wouldn't end up doing because Greg Zuerlein has not been good. He missed an extra point. He missed another field goal, and that made all the difference in this game once again. If he wasn't struggling this year, if he made his kicks in the Denver game, in the Bills game, and this game, the Jets are 5-3 right now. And you have a completely different look at this season. But this season's over. I give up. I give up. Now, there's still games left. Anything can happen. But it's kind of like how I feel with the Yankees right now. And that's something I can't really get into depth with. But it's the same thing with the Yankees. But it's just, what makes us think that the Jets are going to get out of this? Nothing. There's really no indication. Again, the offense will put together some good drives. Rodgers had a couple of touchdown throws in this game. The Tyler Conklin touchdown, that he threaded the needle on that. You know, Breece Hall has been looking better. I mean, they're still not running the football great, but, you know, him being involved in the passing game, you know, he's been better. I mean, he ran the ball for 80 yards, and in the passing game, well, actually, he only had 1 reception for 9 yards. But, you know, the last couple of weeks, he actually was doing well in the passing game. Braylon Allen had the touchdown that put them ahead. They went for 2 and didn't get it. There was a delay of game penalty, I believe, on that. And then they still elected to go for 2 and didn't get it. Garrett Wilson had a good game, 5 receptions for 113 yards. Devontae Adams only 4 for 54. So far, that trade really hasn't done much for the team. Also, Hassan Reddick, not on the stat sheet. Not on the stat sheet. And obviously, you know, he's just getting back, so he's not going to be playing a ton of time. But the Jets only had 2 sacks in this game. And, you know, you go back to the game that they played earlier this season, they were all over Jacoby Brissett, but they could not really do anything this time around. But to kind of go through the drive summary, so both teams exchanged punts, and then, yeah, Drake May had the 17-yard touchdown run. Patriots put together a 10-play, 77-yard drive, almost 6.5 minutes. And then the Jets, they answered. 7 plays, 70 yards. You know, he had a 16-yard run by Breece Hall. There was a defensive pass interference. There actually was a fumble, but the Jets were able to recover that. Another defensive pass interference, and then Rodgers connected with Tyler Conklin. But then Zuerlein misses the extra point. Then the Jets went up 13-7. Rodgers connected with Garrett Wilson for 27 yards. Then he connected with Xavier Gibson for a 1-yard touchdown. So, yeah, that made it 13-7. And that was what the score was at the half. But then the Patriots put together a touchdown drive. And Ramondre Stevenson scores from 3 yards out. Then the Jets put together a field goal drive. It was set up by a 35-yard pass play to Garrett Wilson. 29-yard field goal by Greg Zuerlein. But then later in the game, he misses a 44-yard field goal. Then the Patriots put together a field goal drive. Joey Sly, a 23-yarder. And then the Jets went 10 plays, 70 yards down the field. 13 yards to Garrett Wilson, 13 yards by Breece Hall. A 16-yard reception by Devontae Adams. And then Braylon Allen from 2 yards out scores. But yeah, delay of game, and then the Jets go for 2. Don't get it. And then the Patriots went 12 plays, 70 yards. The big play on this drive, it was 3rd and 10, and Jacoby Brissett connects with Booty for a 34-yard reception. And then on 4th and 1, they had to go for it. And Ramondre Stevenson scored. Jets lose. They get the ball back, but there was not enough time. But yeah, I mean, you look at Rodgers' stats. I mean, 17 of 28, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, not like he played bad, but I'm not going to sit here and say he played great. Again, the Jets didn't turn the ball over, and they still lost. You know, Kashawn Booty, he ended up having 3 receptions for 46 yards. Hunter Henry, 5 for 45. It's just, and the Patriots defense only had 1 sack. But both teams are 2-6. The Jets, they're now in dead last in the division. And like I said, you got the Texans on Thursday who, are a little banged up when it comes to their receiving core. Stephon Diggs suffered a non-contact knee injury. And if he's out for the year, that's a big loss for the Texans because he was doing well for them. But even with him being out and Nico Collins still out for another week, I still think the Texans are going to win because you still got Joe Mixon, who's been running the football really well this year, and the Jets can't stop the run. So just hand it off to Mixon, and the Jets are not going to have any answers. Now, if you remember, the Jets did beat the Texans last year with Zach Wilson, but the defense was better last year. The defense was better. The special teams was better. It's just, this is probably going to be a loss. But then you got the Cardinals, and the Cardinals actually won a big game in Miami. Even with Tua being back, the Cardinals won that game. And right now the Cardinals are in first place in the NFC West. Look at that. And then you got the Colts. You might be playing Flacco. It looks like Joe Flacco might be starting for the Colts on Sunday against the Vikings. Then you're in the bye. You go into the bye. You come out. You take on the Seahawks at home. Not an easy game. You take on the Dolphins. Not an easy game. Take on the Jaguars. Rodgers does not play well in Florida. Could lose both of those games. Take on the Rams. They look like a different team. We'll talk about them later in the show. And Buffalo, and then you got the Dolphins. Right now, you're probably looking at, there's like no gimme. There really isn't. The way they're playing, there's no gimme. So, I don't think they're going to go, they're not going to go 2-15, are they? No. They got to win at least a couple more games. But this is such a massive disappointment. And again, I like I said before, I know I was going into the storm. I just didn't think it was going to be this bad. I really didn't. Like, if they went 8-9, like, okay, but they're not. It doesn't even look like they're going to be anywhere close to that. I had them going 11-6 and winning the division. It's not good. And I'm really curious to see what ends up happening here. Does Rodgers leave? What's going to happen? Now you got Rex Ryan wanting to come back. And listen, I really do miss Rex being a coach. I really do. And I think it would be very interesting if the Jets brought him in mid-season. But it's probably not the way to go. Probably not. Now, I think he would instantly just make the defense better because Rex is an unbelievable defensive-minded head coach or defensive-minded coach. But it's just, I don't know. That's probably not going to happen, but it's just, the team is a mess right now. It really is. And it's not getting any better. It's just not. So. But let me know what you guys think about this game. What were your takeaways from it? So before we go to break, just want to remind you guys once again, for some reason, again, the graphic is not working. To tip or donate and get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the Super Chat button in the chat for any thoughts or comments. You may want to see me acknowledged during the live broadcast. Just makes the show more lively, more entertaining between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate you guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you can make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, GSMCPodcast.net. That is GSMCPodcast.net. So, when we come back from our next break, we will talk about one of the best games of the weekend, the Browns and the Ravens. The Browns picking up their second win of the season, defeating the Ravens 29-24. We will get into that when we return. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.